Yeah, welcome to Three Conservative Gimps. We've got a great show today. My co host, he is waiting in the green room and he showed up today, so that's good. Um, we've got a couple really hot topics today. We're going to be talking about Joe Biden, talking about the failure of the Mega MAGA Trickle Down. We'll be talking about that. And also, over at Pitt University, there was a sexual assault that, some good Samaritan, one of the students decided, hey, I'm going to put a petition out there for more security. And boy, did that backfire on him. So stay tuned. And we got some other stuff we'll be talking about as well. So let's get this show on the road. Let's get my co host all the way from Muskogee, Oklahoma. It's the ever fast flying Nevada flyer, Lloyd Mendenhall. Welcome, welcome.
Hey Art, how you doing?
And he likes to use the same songs over and over and over and over.
Yeah, well, I did that in a hurry. Okay, I was I it, here's one of the problems I was having is like at the end of when I do that closing on my videos. One of the things that happened, I'm using Filmora Go, and it was giving me a copyright claim on the music that came with that. I was using the music that they provided. And it's like, they said I could use it, but it's just aggravating. So I went back to Epidemic Sound and started looking for other music, and everything I picked out that I liked the sound of that I thought would go with that video was too short. So I repeated it because they were only like a minute and a half long.
Well, you
and I didn't blend them well. Yeah, I know.
You could find songs with that.
But I was in a hurry that. I know I was in a hurry that. I found some that are longer that I'll be using in future videos. Awesome. If the wind ever settles down and I can fly my Avant again. It's been crazy around here. We're getting gusts up to 50 plus miles an hour, and steady winds at 35 to 40 miles an hour, just steady. And it's like,
well, that's because Kansas blows and Texas sucks.
That's right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we're having the same problem here in Colorado. I was going to fly my new Air 2, Mavic Air 2 that I got from a police auction website, but it was too windy to fly. However, I've got some video that I'm going to be putting in the can to release later this week, that all the video and photos that I found on this drone, which was kind of cool. So let's get this show going. Let's get on the first topic. We'll talk about the Mega MAGA Trickle Down.
That sounds sort of like that greeting that James always gives when he joins the show on Saturday night.
Yeah. MAGA Don MAGA.
Yeah, see, it's got all those Mega MAGAs, and that was the silliest. I mean, they're beating a dead horse. They,
and they don't keep have saying anything. It failed, and it never has failed. And I don't know how long the Democrats are going to be beating that dead horse.
Well, their problem is they have nothing else to offer. They have zero claim on any popular. The only thing that they thought they had a win in that Roe versus Wade reversal. They thought that was going to sweep them into the strong control of the Senate and the House, and it's backfired on them. Their crime bills have been terrible. Their DAs that are not enforcing the laws, has been terrible.
Oh, by the way, those DAs were Soros backed people.
That's right. They were
and
all
the state AGs too.
Yeah, and I don't understand how we got to a point where we let some foreigner put our people in our, put people in our offices. I mean, that to me is
However, he is a U.S. citizen,
well,
even
barely.
though he was a Nazi collaborator.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
And yet they want to call the
Yeah,
Mega MAGA
right.
people
And
Nazis.
what's sad is the Democrat Jews. They're the ones that keep, you know, voting for
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah,
that. Ah,
yeah. It's
don't want to
just
sound anti-Semitic. I'm
no.
not. I'm
It's
just pointing out the
the
fact that they're Democrat
the
Jews
the
that keep they
the
don't
Jewish
care.
people, the Jewish citizens, have Democrats have supported all the way back to. I mean, they marched with Martin Luther King.
Hmm.
They understood their struggles, back then, and back then there was a time for that. But Martin Luther King was really a conservative
Hmm.
in a lot of his
Right.
beliefs,
Hmm.
and compared to what we have now, I mean, he wouldn't recognize the face of the Democrat, and that's the problem also with a lot of the Jewish members of the Democratic Party. They are still hanging on to something that was 50, 60 years ago, you know,
Hmm.
that they marched for it. And the
Hmm.
Democratic Party itself has not served them well at all in the last 20 years, at least,
Hmm.
but,
Yeah,
we
they've
got the,
become more divisive and polarizing than ever.
oh,
I've
yeah.
I, yeah,
It's bad because you got like Barack Obama's even coming out and calling this new Democratic Party, this
yeah,
progressive, a buzzkill. You know,
yeah,
well,
buzzkill. Yep.
yeah, he
Hmm.
started it. He's the one who started it with
That's right. He's the one that
the beer
looked down his
diplomacy and
nose and you bitter clingers and your
yeah,
clingers to guns and God.
yeah, and he's the one who started the divisiveness. I mean, it was right out of the right almost within 2 weeks of him being in office, he was already causing a split, and that was to the
Hmm.
disappointment of a lot of people that thought, maybe it was time for us to have an African American descent
Hmm.
uh, president, and I'm sure it was, but he wasn't the torchbearer, and now he's even even though he's the biggest fundraiser for the Democrats right now, he's even seeing how far to the left they've gone.
Well, it's not that. It's just that he knows that they're
What's
getting going to get killed in
Yeah,
November,
and
and
they're
that's
gonna,
why he's
in
saying,
his words, they're gonna take a
could you
shellacking
guys
again.
just kind of tone it down a little bit, stop being a buzzkill.
Yeah,
But he probably still agrees with a lot of that crap, though.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
True.
Yep.
Uh, but yeah, this thing that the Mega MAGA whatever bunch that trickle trickle down doesn't work.
Right.
Well, it seemed to work for the 4 years that Trump was in office. I mean,
Right.
we
Biden inherited an economy that was on the upswing, that was recovering from the
right,
pandemic. And then, as soon as he got into office, he killed it. He stopped
yeah,
oil production here in the United States. He canceled the Keystone XL pipeline. He
yeah,
put regulations on drilling and also put regulations on banks telling them not to
not to loan
give
to
loans
loans
to
to
oil companies.
yeah. I don't watch regular TV,
Yeah,
just
me neither.
simply because but we have streaming, and we were watching. I don't remember what it was. I was watching some show, and it came on. I usually get everything. I get everything off my Fire TV, my Amazon Fire TV, and but I wanted to watch one show. Well, it was free on Prime or on HBO Max, which I have, and the other part of it was the first part actually. it was on Freebie TV, which is used to be IMDb TV, but called
Right.
Freebie TV. But it has commercials, and I swear to God,
Oh
it stops every
yeah.
so often. It was an hour or it was a minute 30 seconds for the commercial. So it had 3 commercials, and
Right.
every one of them, at least 2 of them, were about electric vehicles. You know,
Yeah.
and I'm sitting there going, "You people don't understand." You know, you just don't understand the concept of what you're doing with this electric vehicles, and that's what's hurt us. This is why
Yeah.
the oil production has been curtailed and cut down, and why our esteemed president is asking favors and begging the Saudis for, to increase their oil
Saudis and
production.
Venezuelans.
And Venezuelans, yeah,
Hmm.
uh, let's not produce our own oil. Let's just fund terrorism around the world.
Yep. Oh, and now I'm seeing ads on YouTube where uh, they're talking about we don't need politicians giving tax breaks to oil companies, and then they name the candidate, which is Joe O'Day, who's running for Senate here in
Yeah,
Colorado. And I'm even seeing Joe O'Day wants to outlaw abortion. No, he's actually pro choice or centrist on it.
yeah,
I had
yeah,
to convince my sister to vote for Joe O'Day because her big thing is abortion because she's pro choice, even though she's a Republican. And I had to explain to her, Diane, that don't believe everything you hear on TV because she still watches network TV and she's
right.
hearing all this stuff. And oh, how about this Eric Adlin? Is he a good guy? I go, yeah. He goes, well, I hear he wants to make abortion illegal. I'm like, oh, no,
And
no.
that's how ill informed our society is. Everybody's looking at 30-second clips on TikTok
Mm,
or they're reading what's on Twitter or they're reading what's on Facebook, and they think that's the reality of it. And because they're uninformed, the the attention span of people now is 30 seconds. That's about it.
mm-hmm.
Uh, I mean, if it's long, that's why even and I'm getting so tired of it. Even YouTube here has got these shorts. Well, I see something on a short, I go to watch it, and then it starts repeating itself. Well, hell, I want to see more of that. That was an interesting snippet that I wanted to watch. But everything is geared towards the short attention span of the modern American, which is you know
Right.
basically not much more of attention span than a gnat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Oh, and speaking attention spans of a gnat, you see that interview with Biden where he fell asleep
Oh,
during the
I,
interview.
well, he didn't. I saw it. It didn't look like he fell asleep. It looked like he was just completely. If I didn't know better and having experienced them myself, he looked almost like he had a petit mal seizure. You know,
Oh,
which if you know anybody that's ever had one, they just sit there and their eyes just sort of glaze over for a second because the guy had to ask him, "Mr. President," because he was just sitting there kind of like,
and it looked like
and
his eyes were closing too.
yeah,
So,
well, yeah, it may
well,
have been, but
I've had that at work where I
oh
kind of
yeah, yeah,
zone out just for
yeah,
a few seconds and I wake up and I'm,
but he just he looked like he vaguely just wasn't there, and you
yep.
know what? A lot of that has to do with his age. It has to
Hmm.
do with his cognitive ability. It
Yep.
has to do that he apparently didn't have his little earpiece in so they could feed him the answers,
Yeah, that's right. And don't
or
forget, he
there
had a
was
brain
lag.
hemorrhage back when
Well,
he
that's
was in the
true.
Senate back in the 70s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I suspect he's had, that having dealt with somebody who's had a stroke and realizing what goes through all of that and how it's affected. That's very similar. And anytime you have something like that, there's going to be snippets of stuff that is lost. There's going to be, and as you get older or as you go further down or any more trauma or anything, falling off his bicycle could have ended him.
Yeah.
Uh,
hmm
Even with that goofy helmet on, it wouldn't
Yeah.
have taken, because just what I went through with Judy here just recently. I mean, she's pretty well back to normal, and she's having a little more trouble now than she was a week ago. But she doesn't have. But the doctor said it was just it was just the brain hitting the inside of the skull and giving her
Yep. Sloshing
uh,
around. Yep.
sloshing
Yep.
around. And once it finally settled down, everything came back.
hmm
But and that's what's he's going to be. Was he going to be? Is he 80 or going to be 80 by the time?
I think he's pretty close to 80.
Yeah, I'm thinking he'll be 80 when he runs the next time. You know,
Oh, he'll be probably at least 81 by
81.
then.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But I don't
and that's
even
going to
think he's going to finish out his first term. I
well, I've
think
been
what's
saying
going to
that.
happen is we're going to take the House and the Senate, and they're going to figure a way to get rid of Biden and his vice president,
Yeah, well, they only have
because
2 years to
she's
do it in.
definitely not confident.
Yeah, they only
Competent.
have. Yeah, they only have 2 years to do it in, and beyond. In all honesty, if the Republicans do not start taking some of this other crap serious, like what they're talking about, the issues,
hmm
instead of seeking revenge, they need to get in there, and the best way to seek revenge is to prove that their way works.
Right.
You know, and I'm scared that they're going to get bogged down in all sorts of subcommittees upon subcommittees, and they're not going to get anything accomplished, which is what they
Right.
usually do. You
hmm
know, both parties do it. The
hmm
difference is the Democrats are still doing it, and that's why they started when Trump was still in office, and they're still going.
Yep.
I think they're trying to
hmm
get him subpoenaed before they've issued him a subpoena, but they're trying to get him to testify before the election and before the next Congress
Right.
comes in office. Because once the next Congress
Not
comes in
going to
office, they'll
happen.
just cancel it. Yeah, they'll
There have
just
been
cancel it
other
all.
presidents that have been subpoenaed, and they ignored it. Nothing happened.
Yeah, there was one. Oh, there's one senator they're trying to get to testify now, and he's
Oh.
reached out to the Supreme Court, uh, and he's saying that the Supreme Court needs to at least wait until the appeals are over, because it's always been my understanding, because I have read the constitutional law. One of those is you cannot bring charges against a sitting senator or congressman while they're actively in office. You know, you
hmm
can only Congress and the Senate can bring those charges.
Right.
And this is a state attorney general that's trying to get him to testify. He's one of the
Oh.
leading Republicans. Not Mitch McConnell, but it's the what is it?
Oh, Mike Lee.
No, no, no. He's one of the older Republicans. He
Oh,
was a
Grassley.
no.
Or Graham.
Yeah, Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
hmm
They're after Lindsey Graham because of his support of Trump, and they're
hmm
trying to get him to testify on what communique went back and forth between all of them during the January 6th. And
hmm
he's saying because he is a serving senator, he should not. Uh,
Yeah. Well, that's New Jersey. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
people are they're fleeing New Jersey, and same with New York. I
Well,
mean, now,
the sad
speaking of New York, it looks like Zeldin has taken the lead in the poll.
Sheldon. Okay, now is that
Yeah,
the Democrat or Republican? I
Hochul
don't.
is the Democrat. He's
Huh?
the
Okay,
sitting
okay.
governor.
All right. Yeah. Well, I don't pay
Come on,
attention to what
Lloyd,
goes on in
get
New
with the
York.
game.
No, man, I don't. I don't pay attention to New York politics, because, as far as I'm concerned, that state was lost years ago. You know.
You need to start watching Red Eagle politics On
I do. I watch all of them, and I just forget because there's so many of them. I'm getting to the point where I'm just saturated with some of them.
you're getting burnout on it.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
okay. So
Yep.
I watch other stuff. I tend to,
Yep.
and here lately, I'll be honest with you, I've been watching stuff about the Avada,
Right.
because that's
Hmm.
what I'm excited about this week.
Yep. Me too.
Next week it might be something else, but yeah, yeah, I do remember hearing that. I just didn't recognize the name.
Yep.
I did think the Republicans would take the lead.
And the governor's race in Michigan is tightening up,
Yeah,
and it looks like Lake has a lead in Arizona. She's the former
who's
TV anchor running for governor. Yeah.
okay, okay. Yeah, I just saw something pop up about how the Republicans. I know they just came out with a poll today that put them up to. Looked like they were gonna gain somewhere around 17 to 20 seats.
Right.
So,
Mm.
so that was I think it was one of the Fox polls today. But
And
it's
also, Herschel Walker is got a slight lead in Georgia. I guess he
yeah,
had a really good debate the other night with Warnock.
yeah. He had a very good debate, and
Mhm.
I think that's going to show. And it's one of those things where I don't think we're going to, as I said before, if the Republicans can lose this, they're the best at doing it.
Yes, that's true. That's true. And that's
And
what I'm worried about here in Colorado, because lately I've been looking for places to retire, and I've been looking here in Colorado, mostly out on the plains where uh, houses are more affordable.
right,
And I've
right.
also been looking at Wyoming, western Nebraska, western Kansas, and even Oklahoma.
Well,
And
Oklahoma would be okay. I was going to say, but I wouldn't recommend you go to Wyoming or Nebraska or North Dakota or South Dakota because you get caught out
oh,
there in the snow. Well, yeah, you
yeah,
get caught out in some of their snow drifts. They'd never find you. You'd have to walk around with a little pole attached to you all the time just so they could find you.
yeah,
I can, I guarantee them snow drifts up there can get pretty deep.
yeah. Mm. Well, from what I
But
heard here, Torrington's not a bad little town. It's right on the North Platte River,
right,
and it's in eastern Wyoming, down by Nebraska.
yeah.
I've also been looking at Julesburg, Sedgwick, and Holyoke, and
You see what
I
Mike
could
B
get
put up?
a nice
Mississippi does not.
double wide with uh, very reasonable lot rent.
Yeah, yeah. I still don't see why you wouldn't head south. I mean, why in the hell would you want to be in that cold?
Well, I want to be sort of close to my sister.
Well, that's true.
You
That's
know,
true. You have family.
she's family.
Yeah, yeah. I
Now,
understand.
now my niece.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Although, I moved here to Oklahoma because this is where my parents were when I
Right.
got out of the service and got divorced.
Mm-hmm.
Like Judy just figured out I'm not in the room, so I put a I have this whiteboard that I put messages on, and I see she picked it up and read it, so she knows where I'm at.
Okay. Good.
So
Good.
anyway,
Good.
I may have to go check on her in a minute,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I moved here, and then my brother. Matter of fact, my brother lived here for a year before I even. Of course, we weren't on speaking terms or good speaking terms at that time. And as my sister said, I can't believe you're both in Oklahoma. It's like, what do you mean, both of us? I'm here, and of course, by then, both my parents had passed, and the only reason I stay here now is because of Judy's parents or Judy's family. I mean, not parents.
Right.
Gone too.
And plus, you're close to Tulsa, which is they got good hospitals there.
Yeah,
And that's the
yeah,
other thing I gotta think about too. The being close to a medical facility.
yeah.
So,
And we've got some good medical facilities
mm-hmm,
here in Oklahoma. Uh,
mm-hmm.
you know,
And
and
Julesburg is not bad. It's
right. I
still a
remember.
small town, but they've got
Yeah,
good hospitals up there.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I just know I don't like the cold anymore,
yeah,
and definitely don't like the snow anymore. I mean, I miss the beauty of it. I miss being able to look out my bedroom window and see the Rockies where there's snow capped, and see the snow out on the ground. I miss that stuff, but I
hmm
don't miss the friggin' cold. And of course, here in Oklahoma, south
yep. You're right,
towards lower
Mickey.
48, it's
That's
very humid. It's on the westerns. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, because we
Well,
we
and
are
I've
humid,
looked
so
at
we get
homes
ice
over
storms here.
in Rock Springs and over on that side of Wyoming, where that's not far from Salt Lake City. You've got good hospitals there. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and like you said, humidity sucks, and we do have high humidity here.
Yeah. Hmm.
That's the drawback of Oklahoma. Uh,
Hmm.
is that we do have high
Hmm.
humidity. But
Well,
getting
I
back on topic, we
could
have
move out on the Panhandle,
yeah, you could. I don't know why the
like
hell anybody want to live
Guyman
out.
or
Yeah, yeah. Why anybody would
Boise
want to live on the
City.
Panhandle? Yeah, that area sucks just as bad as any. You're stuck between Texas and Colorado,
Right.
but and so you've got the wind coming up out of Amarillo, and you've got the cold coming out of Colorado, and so you're going to get huge amounts of snow and in the wintertime, and you're going to get nothing but desolation in the summertime. You know,
Hmm. Well, yeah, and the Gulf Coast. I've been, even looking at places in Florida. Uh, there's some affordable homes in the Jacksonville area, but
right?
problem is affordable. I don't know if that might be in the crappy part of town for
Yeah,
those
yeah,
afford. Yeah.
yeah. I places like Mississippi, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Louisiana. Those places are high humidity, but there's some decent cost. Decent.
Yeah.
We've got a
Cost of
really
living is
low
lower.
cost of
Yeah.
living is pretty low here.
Hmm. Yeah. And I've looked
Which
at places in the Panhandle of Florida as well.
which is why the next pay raise on my Social Security will do me better, or on my retirement will do me better than it would do you, because you've got a higher cost of living. We'd be getting the
Right.
same amount, because it's not adjusted by state. It's just a federal overall across
Right.
the board cost of living. And this next one is 8.7%. It's going to be a nice little
Yeah.
chunk of money in my pocket.
And when does that go into effect?
Officially, it starts the 1st of December,
Okay.
but we don't receive it until the end of the month, which would be January.
Right.
January
Mine
technically
is
this.
the third Wednesday of the month.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, do you draw Social Security now?
Yes. Hmm.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, so let's
And we've
get
digressed.
back to Mega MAGA Trickle Down before we get on to this next topic.
Right. Right.
So, and Obama even said that trickle down has always failed, which is wrong. They're both lying because
Right.
each time it's tried, it's spurred the economy because what it
Yeah.
does is because when you tax companies, companies aren't paying the taxes.
No.
Customers like
Customers
us,
are.
we're
Yeah.
paying the tax.
Because
You
they
know,
have to raise the cost of goods. I mean,
right?
I just
Mm-hmm.
hear. Can't remember what it was I went and bought the other day. The price increase is just doubled or tripled from what it was just you know
Right.
6 months ago. It seems like. And
Oh, like butter and eggs.
oh
Oh
yeah,
God.
yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the kind of candy I
Oh,
buy, I used to be able to buy 4 boxes of that theater style candy. 4 for $1, and now I catch it on sale and it's 3 for $5.
yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
What
and
was it?
a 12-pack of Coke is like $7.50 when it used to be
Yeah.
like $5 or
Yeah. Well.
less.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like they're
And
not even
well, it's
having those sales where you like three for
three
X
for
amount.
right.
They're
Right.
just
Yeah.
except
Well.
for the store brand soda, which is
Yeah.
what I've been buying lately.
Yeah. Well, I know what it was. I went and bought a container of coffee. A three
Oh,
pound. Well, it used to be the 5 pound. Then it was the 3 pound. Then it was, I don't know, 2 pounds and 2 pounds and 14 ounces. Now it's 2 pounds and 8 ounces, and it's gone up by $2. So you're getting less than what you got
yeah,
before,
yeah.
and you're
But
paying
you're
more for
paying
it.
the same price.
No, I'm paying more for it. They've
Wow.
actually they started shrinking the cans first, and
Yep.
because one of those cans of coffee, because I get the bigger, you know,
Right.
tubs, and
I
they'll
get
last me.
the 5 pound
Yeah,
can.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Well, to buy a 5 pound can of coffee is like here's a full 5 pound can or the biggest one. It's like $14 now.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Here
but
is
I'm
it's
buying
about
Folgers
six,
too.
$7 for a can of coffee. Where it
I
used to
buy
be like 4.50, four seventy
yeah,
five,
yeah. It's gotten
$5.
ridiculous. It's gotten ridiculous the cost of living.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
obviously, they're not using the trickle down method because, like you said, if you tax the corporations, they're going to have to pass it along because they have a responsibility to their shareholders. So they have to
Right.
continue
Mm-hmm.
to bring in. You tax them. Well, that's taking money off of
Mm-hmm.
the gross and the net, and so they have to adjust that. And the way they do that is by raising prices or reducing
Mm-hmm.
quantity or both.
Mm-hmm.
So, and these idiot politicians don't understand that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and now companies are finally getting on the ball and going after these uh, people that get on these boards that want the what is it, the EGRs, which is to steer the company away from fossil fuels and all
Right,
that
right,
shit. And so
right.
they're finally getting their act together and fighting back on all this crap, this woke crap.
Yeah, but it's like I saw. I think it was an interview with Kevin Sorbo. He says it's going to. No, it was Dean Cain. Dean Cain, and he says, it swings, and it's going to. How far to the right will we swing it? How long will it last?
Yeah.
Somewhere along the line, the people in politics have forgot that we aren't far right, we're not far left, we're not all,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because you look at these cities that have got. I mean, this is a generation of. You look at the average age of these woke people doing the protest. And this is why I think the draft should be brought back. I think we should
Yeah.
have mandatory military because let's put these little shits out there. Excuse my language, but let's put these little shits out there having to defend the country that they're protesting against. Let's
Mm-hmm.
the right to protest has been made available through people like myself that have served in the military.
Right.
And it's these
Mm-hmm.
little snot nosed brats that have been spoiled by mommy and daddy, and they just
Mm-hmm.
haven't figured out that I mean, if my kid did that, I'd cut his butt off in a heartbeat. I mean, if
Mm-hmm.
if they had that, I wouldn't do it. Of course, I never supported my kids even. My kids started working when they were in high school,
Right.
and
Mm-hmm.
or sooner. My oldest son, he was working when he was 14 years old. We
Mm-hmm.
put him to work with doing construction with one of the cousins. He was hauling around and mixing mud for bricklayers. So it's you know, and he's probably younger than that because he started before I
Oh,
came into
yeah,
the.
Mr. B has a good point. Yeah, the military has gone woke.
It has gone woke, and that's the problem. That's and it's because of the generation that's in there. I mean, I saw this coming when one of my younger granddaughters was dating a guy, and I'd heard it about this sort of thing from a drill instructor. But when I saw this, I found out that they categorize you in basic training according to your psychological profile.
Oh,
And
okay.
certain young men, they're allowed to have their cell phones on the weekends or on Saturdays. I guess they can call who they want.
Mm-hmm.
But certain young men, their psychological profile is that they just aren't quite. They got to call mommy every night. So after
Mm-hmm.
chow and all of that, and you've got the downtime, which is usually about 30 minutes if you're lucky, and usually then you're busy, cleaning up your area and polishing your boots or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
uh, but after that downtime, I'm sure now they get a regimented, 2 hours to watch television or do whatever. We didn't get that crap
Right.
when I was at boot
Mm.
camp. But so these young men get to have their phones with them every night because so they can call home to mommy and and aunt and uncle and grandma and grandpa, and because
Right.
they couldn't make it through, they're letting these people dictate how basic training should work.
Mm.
And as a result, we've got new generations. We get the next gen. These guys made it through, and let's say they go on to serve, and now they're probably staff sergeants, and they're going back being
Yep.
drill instructors.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
DIs
can
or
you
TIs.
imagine you're out on the line and you're in combat and you're in the trenches and you're oh oh Sergeant, could you hold on? I got a phone call from mommy. Hello, mom. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Now is not a good time. Yeah. Oh, that's
yeah.
really
Mister
nice.
B is
And Susie got her. Wow, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Yeah,
yeah,
mom, gotta go. We're in a battle right now, and I can't tell you where I am, but I'll call you back. Yeah, yeah. Well, okay, 10 minutes. I'll be right back.
yeah. Exactly. It's like what Mister B says. He says, "Hell, in basic, he was lucky to get one phone call a week, and that was at a payphone." Yeah, we
Yeah.
stood. We went to the payphones on Saturdays and Saturday afternoons because we had to do stuff during the daytime. In the
Mm-hmm.
mornings, we had to go to chow hall, then we had to do our PT, and then we had to do police the area, and then
Mm-hmm.
uh, it looked like it's snowing in our bedroom. Weird. I'm watching the camera over here, and it's got the UV camera on right now, so or
No.
the night vision on, and it's like dust is flying around it. Anyway, uh, but yeah, we stood in front of a friggin' phone booth. This is in San Antonio, Texas, in June, so it was hot. We were wearing those heavy, uh, fatigues, or if we were dumb enough to think we'd go to the theater, which a lot of times we did, we were wearing khakis or dress blues, which even the summer weight, the cotton weights were still they were hot, you know.
Yeah.
And so we stood around waiting, for our 5-minute phone call, and that's what we got. 5 minutes. If you could get in line quick enough, because they gave you from hour one to hour five or hour one to hour three, and you
Mm-hmm.
didn't make it, you just didn't, and they had like 20 phones there,
No.
but you had to call home collect and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, make
Right.
them do fire guard in the middle of the night and get up at 3
Mm-hmm.
8. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, these young people, and I say young people because the drill sergeants that we got now are just as woke. You know,
No.
yeah, I have to do fire guard duty, and then still have to get up at 4:30, or
Yep.
dark 30 in the morning, and
Mm-hmm.
get ready to. You had to get off that and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
until the drill instructor walked in that you were off of either guard duty or fire duty, fire
Mm-hmm.
guard, and your job was to stand at the front door, and then you had to either you had to do it, you had to do patrols up. I was in the old World War II barracks, so we had upstairs and downstairs, and we were all in racks all the way down, either
Right.
one single racks or double racks, and it was a whole different time, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't I don't regret doing any of that because that's helped
Nobody
me get
got
some.
caught with a jelly donut.
No, no, no.
You saw that movie?
Yeah, yeah. The funniest thing though is we had a guy that he was 6 foot. He was 6'10" or 6'11". He'd been a basketball player for college, but uh, he blew out his knee in his senior
Oh,
year, and he couldn't play basketball, and thus he lost his scholarship. So he had no choice but to,
right.
he got it fixed, but then he had no choice. He had to have a job, and so he joined the Air Force. He also was a sleepwalker, and we had,
Oh,
like I said, these are old World War II barracks, but they had like 8-foot ceilings. I come up there with my flashlight or torch, whatever you want to call it, at night checking, and I come walking down there, scared the living crap out of me because here's this guy standing there. His hands are touching the ceiling like this. He's just standing there,
maybe it
and he's
was a
standing.
bat.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It was, but it was like this guy was big. I mean, it's
Yeah,
like he was like Kai. He was built big all the way around, but this guy
right.
was, and he wasn't, but he was very trim in his body structure. But see, you come walking up and see this giant mammoth of a thing standing there holding up the ceiling in the middle of the night. You're not expecting that because all you got is these red lights at each end of the
Eric?
barracks. Yeah, where the exit signs were at, for emergency exit. I got to tell you, that was the scariest I ever saw. And it's like I keep whispering, trying to get him to, hey, Igor, lay down. That was his name, Igor. That's what we called him
Oh,
because
okay.
that's what the drill sergeant called it. Because our drill sergeant was like 5'3", so it was disproportionately hilarious to see the two of them marching down the street. So but yeah, it was. But back then, like I said, we need to have these young kids all join the military, and I think it'd do a lot of them
That's
good. Get
right.
rid of this wokeness.
Mhm. Okay,
Although
let's get into our final
I
topic.
digressed. Yes, sorry.
So, over at the University of Pittsburgh, there was a sexual assault on campus, and so one student had this bright idea to put up a petition to get more security.
Yeah,
And that was going around, and people were signing it. And after a little while, he was starting to get backlash because they didn't want cops to be there. They want security, but they don't want cops.
right.
It's like it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. It's like it's
Yeah,
just gotten really nuts. I would not want to be a student at a big college because
yeah.
who knows what kind of
Well,
crap will go on. They'll
yeah. The college my son uh, worked for is one of the. It's a smaller college, but he's just added. Of course, he's got a police department and he's got a security division as well. And during certain part in during and the good thing is in Oklahoma is we have our cops and our private security have to go through the same basic program.
right.
It's called uh, Civilian Law Enforcement Education and Training, CLEAT,
Mm-hmm.
or Criminal Law Enforcement Education and Training. And you have different tiers of it. You have unarmed security, which is just not even a mall cop. They just sit out there and watch the car lots or something. But then you have what they call commissioned officers, which are police officers. All of them have to go through this at some form or
Mm-hmm.
another. So he has security that has to go through the next step below where a police officer does, and then he, as a police chief, had to go through the chief training as well. And he just got a new officer as well as the one he already had. Plus, he's got new security measures in place, and because they've seen the need to increase the budget, and by
Mm-hmm.
increasing that budget, it's making the campus more secure. So, thankfully, I live in a state that understands law enforcement and what needs to be done to protect
Mm-hmm.
the citizens. So unlike these knobhead schools back east that think by defunding the police and bring out, because to be honest, a security guard isn't got the same training that a police officer does.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's things you learn in police academy, and usually police academy is a minimum of 23 weeks, whereas law enforcement is, or security, is usually about a 6-week course.
Mm-hmm.
And that's only meeting, 2 days a week. So it's not really even 6 weeks, but they still have to take a test and everything to get a license for that. But and that's the problem with a lot of these places is they don't have the proper training for their law enforcement officers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he got on because his great grandpappy was a U.S. Marshal here back in the territory days. So it's in his blood. We're going to make him the police chief. Well, has he got any training? No. He used to work at the IHOP. He was a cook at the IHOP until
about the filling station.
Yeah,
on the corner.
Yeah. And that's what a lot of these states do. They hire a lot of these colleges. And that's why you got these college officers that are shooting somebody because like the one that happened a few years ago. It all comes down to lack of training. But if you don't have the training, you don't know what you shouldn't be handling a gun. And especially in a law enforcement position. So these kids want this security. That's okay, but how are they supposed to? How are they supposed to keep from getting raped if they don't have security? If they don't have
right, that's true.
Some sort of law enforcement.
They perpetuate this culture of anti-police.
Exactly.
And cops get a bad name, and part of it is because everybody's got a camera. So anytime a cop does something that looks kind of hanky, that there's somebody there with the camera, I'm going, and the cops are in trouble. Here in Colorado, they've taken away. They made it easier for people to sue cops. So, and then they wonder why cops in big cities like Aurora and Denver, they're leaving. They're retiring early, or they're quitting. They're just saying, not going. If you don't have my back, then I'm not doing it.
Yeah, and that's a problem everywhere with law enforcement. They're why is it?
And it's going to get to a point where it's going to be like those Kurt Russell movies, Escape from New York. And,
Escape from L.A. Yeah. It is. It's getting there. It's getting there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which it's sad to say. And these big cities that have done this, they and here's the thing. They've brought it on themselves, and they're letting the 1%. They had that campaign here back 10 years ago about the 1%ers,
right?
And it's supposed to be the top tier rich people. 1% aren't paying their share of taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Most of those people are paying more taxes than I make a year. So,
yep.
So it's just that simple. But they don't look at it that way. But now we got the other 1% that are causing all the problems that are, we're letting these, rainbow colored hair people, with their unicorn look, unicorn hairdos, they're the ones who are raising the hell and making the stink. And, they need to have their asses paddled and sent back to stand in the corner. They need to be sent to bed without their friggin' supper,
Yep.
And that's what the problem is. We're allowing this, and the more we allow this, the worse it gets. Of course, we're to that point. Art, you and I are old people, so we don't have a lot of say in it anymore. Generations that came behind us, they really stuck.
Yep. Well, and we dropped the ball to my younger audience because we're the ones allowing the hippies to run the colleges.
That's it.
Yep.
Well, it's getting to the point now that even the hippies are all old. There's it's the hippies' children that are now running the colleges, which is even doubly worse.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's a sad, sad situation, and that's why this
Right.
next election is so friggin' important.
Mm-hmm.
Chris says that hurt his feelings. Life sucks being you,
Well,
Chris.
here in Colorado, we got our ballots this week, and I've been filling out my ballots. And yesterday, my sister came over to bring my laundry, and she brought her ballot, and I helped her fill it out, and I had to convince her to vote for a couple Republicans that are running for Senate and Congress because, well, I've been hearing on TV that he's going to make abortion illegal.
Yeah,
No, that's not going to happen.
Unfortunately,
Don't believe everything you hear on TV.
Yeah,
and
you have to with people like that are only getting their news from the main three. You need to have information available to them to where they can go make an informed decision on their own. You need to have that. Say, here, why don't you go watch this?
And the deal is, my sister is 71, going to be 72 pretty soon here. And it's like, why is she all up in arms about abortion? That's not going to affect her.
Yeah.
I mean, why is she afraid that it's going to go away for her granddaughter? And it's like, she's a pretty smart cookie. She's got a boyfriend, and everything is under control. And it's not like back in the '60s where, wow, where I gotta go to the drugstore to get a condom or go, and the pill was a brand new thing back then.
Right. When Rob says he will not be voting.
Don't forget, I should have told her this. That Colorado was the first state to make abortion legal, even though it was a red state, and we had a Republican governor, and it was a bill by State Representative Dick Lamb, who later became governor of Colorado.
Governor Lamb.
He's the one that authored the bill, and Governor Love signed it and passed it into law.
Every time I hear Governor Lamb's name, I think of that joke about the alligator. What did the alligator say after he ate the governor? Yummy, 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 I got love in my tummy. Which was a song that was out during that time period, so yeah. But
so Drone Rob, I guess he's up in Pennsylvania where Uncle Fesserman, he's the guy that's recovering from a stroke, and he's running against
I know,
Dr. Oz.
Dr. Oz.
And Dr. Oz is starting to pull ahead.
He is, he's starting to pull ahead in the poll. I think some of the interviews have been, he's in Western Pennsylvania, Drone Rob is. I think some of the latest news conferences and stuff, with him have not gone over well.
Yeah, God, that guy looks creepy. I mean,
he does
he's got that goatee going, shaved head, and
he does.
I'm expecting him to wear his Hell's Angel jacket or something on it.
Yeah, well, I mean, and you got him. There's, when he was mayor of that town, he went out and fired a gun off at a black man that was coming through their neighborhood. Turned out it was just a jogger running by him, and another guy stopped him. And there's all sorts of bad situations with that guy that
wow.
I don't think he's been sane for years before the stroke. Let alone Uncle Fester is a good Uncle Festerman. That's a good name.
So got my ballot, and there was for those people who don't know what RTD is, that's a regional transit district here in the Denver metro area. And, well, there wasn't a candidate on the ballot. It said write in. So I thought, put my name on there, and I told some of my friends that are in the the GOP in the county, and they say, hey, let's help Art get elected and watch the fireworks. We'll just sit back and watch the fun begin. Well, it turns out there are rules. You have to, uh, prior to the election, like a couple months ago, I would have to go to Secretary of State and declare myself as a writing candidate. And the reason they put that in is about 10, 12 years ago at the county assembly, one of the House districts didn't have a candidate come forward. So you could nominate someone on the floor at the assembly, and that person could go on to run for that seat. Well, this guy, Nate Marshall, said, "Oh, sure, I'll run for that House seat," and he got the nomination and filled out the paperwork and was ready to go on to the next step, and then we found out he's a white supremacist. And boy, did we have egg on our face, because we had to, go to this guy and just say, sorry, we can't have this. We need you to withdraw. And there was a little tense period there for a couple days, but he finally did withdraw, and they finally did get a candidate to run for that seat. So and I think that's why they put that rule in to kind of vet the candidates who might be running. But I might get a few votes out of it anyway. But even if I win, I'm probably not qualified to serve on that seat. I would have been a director, one of the directors on the RTD board. That would have been cool. However, I am qualified because I did serve on the Aurora Open Space Advisory Board, which is a government entity, and I was sworn in, or I was approved by the city council unanimously, and that rarely ever happens on boards. So even my ultra liberal ward council member voted for me, which was kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, good. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe it'd be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, it will be. Maybe on TV they'll say, "Oh, the winner of the RTD board in District L is it's Arthur Carlson."
That would
or it might be neck and neck. We might have to have a runoff election because the leader didn't have a plurality.
Yeah.
Well, we've done just a little over an hour. I want to thank everybody in the chat for coming. Drone Rob, thank you for coming. Mr. B Outdoor Misadventures, which I believe is trying to think of who. I think it's Michael. Chris Wedgeworth. Then there's the other Mr. B, the Drone Ranger. Mike B, the Drone Ranger. Welcome. Good to see you. And Mickey McH. And, Paul Brown. Wedge and Big. And Grant is also here. So that's
cool. I saw that. I meant to say hi to him earlier.
Also, good news. We've broken 200 subscribers.
Oh, and for those that aren't aware, you know that YouTube is coming out with a new handle thing. Like Twitter has Twitter at such and such, blah, 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 or Lloyd at Twitter. Anyway, so I've actually, and I went ahead and went there. You just go on your, just type in on uh, uh, youtube.com/, uh, and then put handle, and it'll take you to it and tell you to open it in your app or on a PC,
Oh,
depending on what you're on. And then it'll give you a choice. It'll say, what it does is take your original username for the channel, your username, and it allows you. So on here, you can have a handle, or you can go ahead and, now that we're 200, well, you've already got the name. So, but if you want to change it and put the at, you can just put at, 3 Conservative
right.
Gimps or whatever you want, and that way
Or
it'll be recognized.
3CG.
3CG, yeah.
Mhm.
Because that's what I've done with my channel now. It's youtube.com at Grumpy Vlogger, all one word. And
Okay, cool.
even though it's not official until the end of the year or the first of the year, they're already doing it, and I went ahead and
Right.
tried it. I got the notice on Judy's, and her account, and so mine used my original Google account name that I had, and so that's something you can do too. Now that we're starting to
Right.
getting up to 200, now we can start
Right.
doing the at 3CG.
And also on Artco, I just passed 1660. So
Well,
let's
I'm
keep
hanging at
on
7.
moving. Let's get that up to 1700. All
Well,
right,
I'm hanging
everybody
at
in the chat,
740s.
thank you for coming. You have a great weekend. God bless you, and let's keep this country red. Let's make a difference. Take care and catch you next time.